sing every Sunday? No. No, I have no problem. I have problems. No. My strongest criminal right now, and her mother is about ready to die. So she was supposed to sing solo a couple weeks ago, and she'll be about 30.
One this way? Shabbat Shalom. I don't think so. No. I think we're okay. Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
We begin with this duet, these texts, especially the text from Psalm 27, which are said especially on this month of Elul as we prepare for our days of awe.
אחת שאלתי מת אדוני אותה אבקש אחת שאלתי מת אדוני אותה אבקש עזרי מת אדוני כל ימי חיי לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני אותה אבקש. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני אותה אבקש. עזבי מאת אדוני כל ימי חיי, לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. לחזות בנועם בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. אחת שאלתי מאת אדוני אותה אבקש.
Shabbat Shalom. And Shabbat Shalom as well to all of you who are joining us on our live stream, which I just checked is on. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This week's Torah portion, Kiteitzei, has many different sorts of mitzvot in it. Everything from the beginning of the Torah portion, how to the Torah was probably written by men, right? So how to deal with a situation where you in war and you find a wife that you like, that sort of situation. Not exactly stuff that I like to talk about today from Torah, but there are other parts of this week's Torah portion that are really just quite gorgeous. One of those sections is around the idea of returning your neighbor's ox or donkey that you see walking on the side of the road, right? The donkey's escaped. What do? You have to get it, and you have to bring it back to your neighbor. And if your neighbor's not there, you have to take care of it until your neighbor returns. And so you get this list of the donkey and the ox, and if you find your neighbor's like overcoat, anything that you clearly know belongs to your neighbor. And then in most translations, that section ends with the mitzvah essentially of not to remain indifferent. Not to remain indifferent. And it's I think well said as it's translated. And I may have mentioned this either last year or in Torah study, I forget where. But the Hebrew for that commandment, lo tochal lehitalem, doesn't actually mean. If you're going to translate it literally, it doesn't actually mean indifference. It means lehitalem is to hide oneself. So the Hebrew would be, don't hide yourself from that thing, which is a little different than remaining indifferent. In fact, I think it goes to the idea that you can't actively stay away from the rest of the world. That in your community, as you see things happening, you have to get involved. You can't say, it's not my problem. It's not even just indifference. It's you can't hide yourself. Probably many of us don't hide ourselves from what's going on in the world, from returning our neighbor's ox or donkey whatever that looks like today. But I think that's still a question we can continue to ask ourselves. In what way am I hiding myself from my community, from my responsibility to others in my community? Hopefully that is an eternal question. Hopefully one day it won't be. But I think that is an eternal question that comes to us from this week's Torah portion, Ki Tetzeh. We continue on page 138. Page 138, 139, Lechadodi, verses 2, 5, 9, not 1.
Not one.
Continuing on page 140, Psalm 92, Tov lehodot ladonai. It is good to give thanks, to sing praise to you, God.
Tov, tov, tov lehodot, tov lehodot ladonai. Tov, tov, tov lehodot, tov lehodot ladonai. L'shimcha elyon, l'shimcha elyon. Uzamer, uzamer, l'shimcha elyon.
We continue with our candle lighting, page 120, 121, and invite Betsy and Ann Mark to our bima to light candles. And because it's a special Shabbat with our choir, Kol Halev, there's extra pressure up here not to trip on the wires. So be careful.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotov, v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Thank you. We continue on page 144 as we begin to enter the main section of our service with Chatzi Kaddish 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ויעמד יברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי.
בחייכנו יומכון וחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב. אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם עולם ועלמיה.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא
בריחו
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה
תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמה.
ואמרו
Amen. Our call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 146. Please rise if you're able.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Please be seated. We continue on the bottom of page 148 together. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzavaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. And together on the top of page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise if you're able. Shema, page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We continue on the bottom of page 157 responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Our Song of Redemption, Mi Chamocha, page 158. And on page 160, we ask God to shelter us, to keep us far from the worst of the world, from pain, from anguish, from war, from famine, from illness. We ask God to shelter us with a sukkah of peace. On page 162, our weekly reminder to make this day different, to keep it special, keep it holy, the Shamru. I feel like tonight's a sneak preview of Kol Halev for the High Holy Days.
It is a sneak preview.
Sounding nice.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Just wait till you hear of all the other voices that went to Emmanuel Axe tonight instead. Thank you all for being here.
Went to where?
Emmanuel Axe concert tonight, opening of the Ann Arbor Symphony. Okay. All of you were in the right place.
That's right. We continue with the Amidah the central prayer of the service, page 164, is where we'll begin, and we'll chant out loud together through page 170. However, once we're done chanting out loud together, you have some options. You can either continue in the Hebrew or English through page 180, or you can close your prayer books and pray the words of your own heart, your own private prayer. Any of those options is totally fine. Again, so 164 through 170 out loud together, then 170 to 180 if you choose, silently to yourself or your own silent prayer. When you're done with your prayer, please be seated. And with that, if you're able, please rise.
Adonai sefata tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayem etim atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chaim bechesed, Mechayem etim berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishnei afar, Michamocha bal gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah hachayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hametim. Atah kadosh shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim bechol yom yaharelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Me'el hakadosh.
the composer of that piece will be with us in the spring. No, fall.
November.
That's right.
Just like 2 months.
2 months. Donnie Massing will be here November what?
The third weekend in November or the fourth weekend in November, or something like that.
You think we'll sing that?
We might.
Maybe.
I'm not so sure. Maybe one of his most beloved pieces.
Yeah.
Other than Matovu.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kohalev. We continue Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah, page 364, page 364, and invite to our bima Rachel Glick. If you're able, please rise. All right. We got a double cats tonight. Double cats. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Maybe let's go down, just in case. So, Deborah, you're reading Torah.
I am.
Okay, excellent. Where are we reading? Yeah. That's all we can ever do. This is good.
The good spot. The good spot.
You picked the perfect spot. Yeah. So there's what I was talking about earlier. At Deuteronomy 22, verses 1 through 4, of taking care of your neighbor's stuff when you see it walking around. Deborah's going to be chanting Torah from us, and we're going to call Ralph up in a moment. And Deborah, you're chanting Torah from a Torah that your family donated to the synagogue, and Mazel Tov on that sort of donation to our community. It usually sits in our chapel, but we moved it around, special for tonight. So thank you.
Ya'amod Ralph Katz la'aliyah l'Torah.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo tireh et shorachicha, et seo nidachim v'talam tahamehem hashev tashivehem lachicha v'im lo karo vachicha elecha v'lo yadato v'asafto el toch beitecha v'haya imcha ahadiro shachicha oto v'hashev oto lo v'chein taseh lechamoro v'chein taseh l'simlato v'chein taseh l'chol avedat achicha asher tovad mimenu umsata lo tucha lehitalem lo tireh et chamor achicha shoro noflim baderech v'hitalam tahamehem hakem takim imo.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Shkoch. Thank you. That was great. Thank you. we take a few moments and think of our friends and family, loved ones who may be in need of healing. We are particularly mindful of Debbie Pissarak, Joanne Blumberg, Valentina Volson, Hillary Handwerger, David Bloom, Judy Eisenberg, Milton Child, Jake Waxman, Bridget Ford, Roxanne Poandra, Joel Berger, Margaret Leslie, Karen Simon, Steve Gill, Stacy Young, Sydney Usum, Barry Hopkins, Julie Lambert, Allison Conroy, Debbie Weiner, Rick Spire, Buddy Tepper, Carrie Thorpe, Rachel Tunk, David Sidens. Betsy, you want to say the last name for us? David's? Seidenstecker, thank you. Pinchas ben Sarah, Esther bat Bela, Shulamit Simcha bat Rachel Leah, Lisa Sebrak, and Don Duggan. If there are other names to add to our list for healing, please do so as my eyes meet yours. In your service handout.
Rifa'enu Adonai v'nei Rafeh, Hoshienu v'ni v'ashea, El karov lechol karav, ach karov l're'av yish'or. We pray for healing of the body. We pray for healing of the soul, for strength of flesh and mind and spirit. We pray to once again be whole. El Norifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shalema. El Norifana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat ha-nefesh, refuat ha-guf, refuat shalema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalatecha, ureim v'naseim at ha'olam. Misheberach avotenu, misheberach imotenu, pray for healing of the people. We pray for healing of the land and peace for every race and nation, every child, every woman, every man. Ella Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat shelema. Ella Refana. Oh, please heal us now. Refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuat shelema. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now. Heal us now.
Please rise as our Torah is lifted and dressed.
V'zota Torah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Avi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai
Please be seated. We're going to take a look at some text tonight. I'm going to send a few back this way, and a few over here. Thank you. Here. Send a few this way. There you go. Thank you. All right, so as it's going around, I can read to you, don't worry. But we're going to take a look at a few different texts The text from this week's Torah portion is going to be the second text we're going to look at, so don't skip ahead, okay? All right, so at the top, it's a text maybe you've read before from the Talmud, from Shabbat, Tractate Shabbat. Rava said, after departing the world, when you are dead, right, you're going to arrive at the pearly gates. He didn't really think about it like that, but that's sort of what he means, right? Well, no, you're going to be judged, right? That's what happens when you die in Judaism. Everything gets sort of weighed, as we're going to find out in just a few weeks. So when a person is brought to judgment for the life she or he lived in this world, they say to him or her, I put the hers in, by the way. So, right? The Talmud doesn't say that. But the first question, you get a series of questions. The first one, did you conduct business faithfully? Right? Were you honest in your business dealings? That's the first question you get asked when you're judged at the waiting to get into wherever you get into. Did you conduct your business fairly? And then, did you designate time for Torah study? Did you engage in procreation? Did you await salvation? Did you engage in dialectics of wisdom or understand one matter from another, right? There's a lot of sort of study in there. But the first question, were you honest in your business dealings? That seems like a sort of odd question to start that way, right? You've arrived at your grand trial, and were you honest in the way that you dealt with your business? So where does this come from? Well, Rava doesn't give any proof texts, but we have at least, there are two instances in Torah, one in this week's Torah portion, and the second back in the book of Leviticus. We're going to look at that as well in a moment in the Holiness Code, about the idea of having honest weights and measures, right? You've heard that before, that expression before from Torah. So the entire section that talks about this sort of honest weights and measures is Deuteronomy 25 verses 13 through 16. You shall not have in your pouch alternate weights, larger and smaller, right? So you're in the market, right? And you're weighing out the corn, the pickles, the herring, whatever it may be, right? You gotta have Jewish foods, right? Bagels. You can't have, here comes my friend Plony. Plony's by the way, the term that the Talmud uses when they're talking about just, Joe Schmo. Right, here comes, I'm serious, that's the word, that Plony ben Plony, that's what they call Joe Schmo in the Talmud. So here comes Plony, and, I like him, so I'm going to use, a weight that is going to, make it more beneficial for him. I won't charge him as much, but, this guy, I don't know this guy, so and he looks sort of new here, so I can probably take advantage of him, right? You're not allowed to have two sets of weights in your pouch, in your pockets. You shall not have in your house alternate measures, a larger and a smaller. You must have completely honest weights and completely honest measures if you are to endure long on the soil that Adonai your God is giving you. That is a common punishment, right, for not behaving properly, that you can't live in the land, right? The land will only sustain righteousness, essentially. For everyone who does these things, everyone who deals dishonestly is abhorrent to Adonai your God. The rabbis, our sages, will go on to say that problematic business dealings are worse than and some of the worst sins in Judaism are around sexual acts with family, right? It's really taboo, right? They say that it's worse than that, and they give a whole number of reasons for being so, but the rabbis understand this to be one of the most problematic sins. And so you see then why the Talmud will open up with the first question when you die about your life will be, were you honest in your business dealings? So if we look also at the section from Leviticus, you shall not, it's a little different. You shall not falsify measures of length, weight, or capacity. You shall have an honest balance, honest weights, an honest ephah, and an honest hin. Those are an ephah and a hin. Those are different measurements. I am Adonai your God who freed you from the land of Egypt. So two things about both of these sections of Torah, and then we're going to read a bit of commentary from Samson Raphael Hirsch, who was essentially the founder of modern Orthodoxy. So the rabbis will also make a big deal about the way that this is phrased in the Hebrew. Back to the section from our week's Torah portion, from Devarim, so the number 2 there. It says, Lo yelecha. And it says that over and over again. It says it 4 times in the text. Right, the first time, and Lo yelecha is you shall not have. Right, that's the phrasing of you shall not have. You shall not, you shall not, you shall not. So you have it once in the first verse, once in the second verse, and then twice in the third verse, right? So once in verse 13, once in verse 14, and then twice in verse 15. And so they make a big deal about the way that it's phrased, in that it's not just about the idea that one shouldn't have those things, but that somehow the actual person is implicated here. That it's more than just about those weights and measures. It has something to do with the actual person who has those untrustworthy weights and measures, right? They begin to build an argument based upon seeing that in the text, this over and over again, for you, for you, for you, for you, as what will become the essential argument around this issue of dishonest weights and measures. The second piece that will bring that up too for us is in the Leviticus text. It says, Lo ta'aseh avel b'mishpat b'midah. And a midah is a measure, but it's also like a value. Like it also, a midah is a value that one holds. And so while the text is talking about a measure that having honest measures, the rabbis will again read into this idea of the midah as not just the physical measure, but the actual measure of the person. And they begin, as I said, to make this argument that we're not just talking about having honest weights and measures. It's not just about the actual object. It is about the kind of person that would have 2 separate weights and measurements. So let's go on to the Hirsch section on the back. And this piece of commentary is actually a commentary on the Leviticus piece from Samson Raphael Hirsch. He says the kind of mishpat, right? That's in that first line, the kind of judgment, the kind of judgment of which it is speaking here is shown by the complement b'midah, that value. It is the justice of those things on whose correctness the honesty of human intercourse depends. The Torah considers everybody who counts, measures, or weighs anything, and on that declares its content, or who declares an object to be a measure of some definite size, to be and to have the responsibility of a shofet, of a judge. Okay, so what's that mean exactly, right? You have your weights and measures. You are essentially the presiding judge over that interaction with a person who does not have those weights and measures. They're counting on you to make a correct ruling. And so Hirsch is saying that everybody essentially, especially when they are dealing in business, becomes a sort of judge. He is an officer of justice. He pronounces judgment as to what is right and fair. His word is mishpat, his law, a declaration of what is right. But this places the responsibility for the honesty and legality of things in general in the hands of the conscience of every single person. Everyone is placed in charge of it, over it, and any misuse of this power is avel, injustice. Just as great a wrong as a misuse of the legal power of a judge. So, I would, in fact, say that today, especially because probably most of us don't engage in this kind of commerce, that the way that we should think about these equal weights and measures is, especially when you're in a circumstance of being the expert, right? There are a few doctors in the room, or lawyers, or professions for sure, right? We count on those of us who are not in those professions. We count on the professional to be honest and to give us a full understanding and to put out the entire information so that we can make decisions about a legal consequence or a medical consequence or anything else that we might be thinking about. That it is in that relationship that I think this becomes even more important for us. That each of us who is in a relationship of expertise where you are providing some sort of judgment essentially to somebody else, it's something important for us to think about. What do I offer? How do I offer it? How is this person hearing me? Am I providing a balanced weight in this situation? Can I think of my own advice, my own suggestions as a balanced weight and measure? Shabbat Shalom. We continue on page 586. Page 586 with Aleinu. Please rise if you're able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, lateit gdula lioseh b'reshit, shelo asanu k'gei haratzot, v'lo samanu כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 591. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo
Please be seated. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. We are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Liz Romolino, Rebecca Wallinger, Lois Friedman, Michael Barnofsky, Rosemary Metz, and Harvey Silverman. Our yard sites this week are for Robin Adler, Seymour Axelrod, Ike Barnett, Herman Bennett, Francis Berger, Mary Block, Gilbert Castle, Raymond DeYoung, Robert Eisenberg, Simone Eldon, Werner Hasenberg, Marion Kaufman, Sophie Levitt, Betty Mark, Helen Miller, Lois Milner, Leonard Oman, James Rosenbaum, Bessie Rudnick, Charles Sauls, Naomi Schechter, Rose Schechter, Agnes Scott, Riva Schwader, Ruth Siegel, Rose Silver, Tom Stern, Donald Sugarman, and Louis Vishlitsky. If there are other names to add to our list for mourning, please do so as my eyes meet yours. For all of those mentioned, for all of those who go unmentioned, and for all of those who have no one to say Kaddish for them, we rise. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom.
Zichronam Devracha, may their memories be forever a blessing.
Amen.
Please be seated. It's my honor to invite back up to our bima Rachel Glick for some words of welcome and brief announcements. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
I'm Rachel
Shalom.
Glick, and I'm a member of the TBE Board of Trustees, and I want to welcome everyone, thank everyone for being here, thank everyone who made music, Roy, Ray, Kalalev, Rabbi, Cantor, Rabbi, everybody. Thank the Rabbi for his wonderful lesson, and thank Deb for her beautiful chanting. Nice job. A few announcements. It looks like this weekend there is a Genesis plant swap, which actually, as you read the little description, sounds like doing some planting in the Genesis garden. There's a TBE Families meetup for people with small children who probably aren't at this service. Don't forget, you can get honey and honey cake from WTBE during the month of September, either online or an hour before Shabbat services. Also, there is a WTBE Community Wellness Program on Saturday, October 12th, that's going to be focused on suicide awareness and prevention. And I'm assuming we'll get more information about that closer to then. Finally, we are welcoming Rabbi Jonah Pesner for Slichot study session and service next Saturday, September 21st at 8 o'clock. And if you haven't gotten your high holiday tickets yet, and I'm assuming most of the people in this room probably have, but if you haven't, go to the website to get those, and remember that we are celebrating back here at our home this year. Thank you. Shabbat
Thank
Shalom.
you. Shabbat Shalom. And just another word about Rabbi Pesner. For those of you who don't know, Jonah Pesner is the director of the Religious Action Center for Reform Judaism, a national leader in our movement and really in the country, especially within the social justice world and the religious social justice world especially. It really is a night not to be missed. Slichot in general, I think, is not a night not to be missed. It's a great way of beginning the High Holy Day season. So join us 8 o'clock next Saturday night. It's going to be awesome, I'm sure. Heavy, but awesome. Yeah. Anything else? Any other things? We got the civil rights trip in the spring, and there will be a meeting about that. I think it's October 28th. I feel like somewhere around there. There'll be more information coming out about that informational meeting in October for that civil rights trip in the spring. Abby looks like she really wants to say something.
Well, I do. I'd like to invite everybody Monday night there's an art project that we're supporting within our Jewish sanctuary. This is part of our regular social action meeting. It's an interesting concept, and I'd love to talk to you about it more. So Monday night at 7.
So talk to Abby about an interesting concept.
Is
During the
this
ONEG.
is this the tile thing?
Tiles and windows, just also space putting your window to support migrants
Okay.
and just human rights in general.
Thank you.
Kettle.
Oh. Oh. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Kiddush and Motzi. Yeah.
Very good.
I'm learning. If anybody who thinks of themselves as a young person who'd like to join us up here. Anybody? Oh, we got one taker. Okay. Anybody else? Young person? Yes. There we go. All right. Do you want to hold the? Okay. I think it looks like grape juice to me. At the very beginning of everything, when God created the heaven and the earth, God made a separation between the sea above and the sea below, and God planted plants on the earth and put the sun and the moon and the stars in the sea above, and then put the fish and the sea monsters in the sea below, and the flying creatures in the sea above, and then created all of the creepy crawly things that crawl all over the earth. Finally, then creating us after all of that on the sixth day, and said to us at the end of the day, now it's time to rest.
Baruch
atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzav b'hanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziyat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat
lechaim.
Grape juice? Yeah, okay. I knew it was grape juice.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi Motzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Take some for your mom too.
Thank you, Molly. We will conclude with Yigdal on page 628.
Also Maseng, also Dani Maseng.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is an abridged version. Normally his version, which we will be getting into later on after the high holidays, has some Ladino in it and all. It's really fun. But everyone can sing the la 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 chorus part. And the melody for the verses is also very repetitive. And we sing 2 verses at a time. So we're going to do the first 2 lines and then la la, the second 2 lines and la la, the third 2, the fourth 2, and then we're going to jump all the way to the bottom. So lots of la's.
La la la.
Shall we start with la?
628.
628.
Sorry, 628. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I meant to also say, I see a few new faces in the synagogue tonight. Anybody that has a big name tag on is a member of our Board of Trustees. Please feel free to harass them as much as you'd like. Talk to them. Talk. And if you would, please take your sidurim and any handouts with you as you exit the sanctuary. We'll see you in our social hall for the Oneg.
Thank you to our ushers, Barbara and Stephanie.
received our email, but we saw your grandson in Berlin.
Sent a photo of us with each other. Yeah, it was very nice to see you.